I told my boyfriend I did not want to have a proposal in a public setting. Well, guess what this jerk had planned? Let me not tell you yet. Let's start at the beginning. This is how it happened. Me and this guy were together for 3 years. We're 19 years old now. We never talked about the future until a year in. Before then, I tried to discuss it and he would change the subject. In short, I wanted children, he didn't. I wanted to stay in Ireland, he didn't. I wanted to get married, he didn't. When I realized it was a bad match, I broke it off, but he asked to get back together, saying we were too young to worry about the future, and, well, we got back together. This happened a few times over the next 18 months, and this time, we probably spent more time apart than together. We knew early on what we wanted different things. And while marriage and kids are something I would want further down the line, I wasn't concerned about his open dislike of marriage and children, because 19 is too young to get married anyways. If I were dating him 10 or 15 years from now, and he did not want to get married, then I might have an issue. But when I'm barely out of my teenager years, it's not a huge concern, and just loving him and wanting to be with him is enough. When I went to see him this time, I was again considering breaking up with him. Aside from the long-term issues, he's also inconsiderate and has a mean streak that I really don't like. So when I arrived at his place, mentally debating breaking up with him for good this time, and he told me he wanted to take me out to dinner. I assume he wanted to break up too, publicly, so I would not cause a scene. I don't normally cause a scene, but being in public tends to prevent yelling. And we both yell every time we break up. In the last year, he's asked me 2 things that, looking back now, stand out to me. First, he asked about jewelry. What kind of stuff I liked, what my taste was. I assumed it was because my birthday was coming up and he was getting me a bracelet or something. So I told him simple and delicate. Silver or steel rather than gold. If there was the color, then blue. Nothing flashy or expensive, as both my jobs prefer plain jewelry and it's just my personal preference. I also said, go cheap. The other thing he asked me was how I felt about public proposals. I told him immediately that I personally disliked them, as I felt I would not be able to say no, even if I wanted to. I feel like public proposals are okay when they've been specifically requested and agreed upon. But one that's totally out of the blue is not okay at all. I assumed he was asking about this because his friends had just proposed to his girlfriend of several years, publicly, and she'd accepted but admitted to him after that she would have preferred something private. I never thought in a million years that he would propose. So you can imagine my shock when we went to dinner and the first thing he did was pop the question. The ring was huge, gold, gaudy, red gems around a diamond. The whole thing was the size of a shape of a Super Bowl ring. He got on one knee, held it out to me. We were in the middle of this popular restaurant and the place was packed. Everyone there could see what was going on and wasn't even trying to hide that they were looking at us. I said no. Well, I didn't say much. I ran out of the restaurant. He drove me there, so I got a cab back and drove home that night. I realized running out wasn't the best thing to do, but I did not know what else to do. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, and all I knew was that I did not want to marry him, or accept his proposal. I felt like I could not even speak. I was so upset about the whole thing, so I just ran. I just want to take the opportunity to say here that I really don't care about the ring. Honestly, when I want to get married, which is absolutely not when I'm 19 years old, the right person could just turn to me and say, "Hey, want to get married?" And I'd say yes. I wouldn't even need a stupid ring. I know I'm focusing on the ring and the public proposal a lot, But that's only because, number one, how far away it was from what I told him my taste was. Number two, what happened next. I did not hear from him until a few weeks later. He said that he thought a proposal was something that I would want, but he saw now that it wasn't. He said that he was out of pocket for the rings. He bought us both the same one and has gotten them engraved. He linked me to the jeweler's website and the ring was $1,400. When I asked why he was telling me this, he said that he hoped I would cover all the cost of mine. He said that as they've been engraved, he could not get a refund. He'd hoped that I would say yes to the proposal, in which case he would not have to ask me to pay. But I said no. He also said I embarrassed him by saying no in public, and should have said yes, and if I was really against it, waited to say no when we were alone. We both live in a small town where gossip spreads at church. Enough people were at the restaurant that night that both of us got asked about it at church on Sunday. He has since messaged me saying he's debating calling in a lawyer to sue me for the cost of the ring. And he also says that I've caused him emotional distress by turning him down in public, and have publicly humiliated him for both rejecting his proposal in public and leaving him to deal with church gossip, which I had no part in spreading. He says he can also get some money off me, the other two things, so $1,450 for what he spent on my ring and extra money for emotional distress and public humiliation. I think his legal claims are bullcrap, and he would not have a leg to stand on in court, but I'm not a law student or a lawyer. He is studying law currently and has an internship at a legal firm. What do I do about all this? Do I need to prepare myself for a lawyer, or is it not even worth worrying about? I think the ex-boyfriend is a jerk for asking for money back. She didn't even ask to be proposed to in the first place. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this story. Drop it in the section below, or let me know if you know any similar story or situation you've been through. Drop them down below and we'll talk about it. The next story that we're going to turn our attention to is titled, OP's younger sister tries to seduce her husband. This one's actually crazy. Let's jump right into it. I'm a 30-year-old female. My sister, who's 20, has started college in the city my husband and I live in. There's a housing shortage here, and getting your own place may take 2 to 3 years sometimes. So she moved in with us. We live in a 4-bedroom apartment. She moved in last week in November. Everything was great at first. Later, I started noticing that she's very affectionate with my husband. When he works from home, she's home that day, making him sandwiches, coffee, etc. She never used the shower in her room because, quote, it's too small. Instead, she uses the bigger one in the hallway so she can walk around in a towel. Sometimes going into the kitchen to make tea when my husband's tidying up after dinner. She stands there in the towel chit-chatting. It feels so weird and perverted, to be honest. I mean, she's my baby sister. I thought maybe I'm overreacting because, well, I seem to be the one noticing anything weird. I've spoken to my mom about it, but she says it's just in my head because my husband loves me, and my sister loves me, and I'm just feeling insecure because I'm pregnant and gained weight. I'm having a difficult pregnancy, so yesterday I took a day and stayed in bed. My husband was working from home. My sister did not know I was home. She came home from the gym and said she bought lunch with her. She called my husband to join her, and I heard her loudly saying, "I bet you wish you had a wife who took care of you like this." I went to the kitchen and she was in her sport bra and a very small tight short. She was like, "Oh, didn't know you were here," and she took her lunch and went to her room. I don't know what to do about this situation. I've mentioned this once to her about walking around in a towel, but she laughed it off saying that I'm just imagining things because I'm insecure. If I kicked her out, it would mean she can't continue with her studies this year because my parents live 5 hours away. I'm not worried about my husband, but I think what she's doing is disrespectful. And for it to continue 1, maybe 2 years is honestly exhausting. What the heck is wrong with her? She used to be my baby girl. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. There's an update for this story, and let me just tell ya, things get pretty wild. Here's the update. Since my mother and sister dismissed me, I talked to my husband. Thank you for suggesting that. He told me that he's noticed my sister acting weird around him. He was, however, very uncomfortable talking to me about it, since it was my idea that she lived with us in the first place. I might think he's making things up to kick my sister out. He said the days he's been working from home, she's been almost always there, walking around in her underwear or tiny gym stuff. He asked her on a number of occasions to put on some clothes. She laughs and asked if he's not used to being around confident women. She also always talked down to me in front of him and commented things like, my bad posture, or my old age, or I wonder if she'll be able to lose her baby weight. I was appalled. What the heck is wrong with my sister? I've never had any problems with her before, and I always took care of her growing up. I decided she must leave. I've been trying to find a place for her in the city, and I know one of my colleagues' grandmother rent rooms for students. She lives near campus, so it would be perfect for her. I did not want to break this news myself to her because by now I know what she would say. That I'm so jealous and threatened by her. So I asked my husband to talk to her. Apparently, she broke down crying, asking him if I'm putting him up to this. He told her that this was his apartment as much as it's mine, and he's not comfortable having her around anymore. He told her about the new arrangement we've made, but if she's welcome to find a place on her own or just move back home. She's getting until the end of the month. Today, she was angry with me. She told me that if my husband really loved me, I wouldn't have felt so threatened by her. She was also mad because now she'll have to pay rent and live in a smaller room. I don't know. I feel sorry for her, but I'm honestly shocked at how callous she is. When did this happen? Only yesterday she was my baby, who waited for me to come home on holidays to try my new clothes and makeup. Now, she's shut in her room, only speaking to me to call me pathetic and insecure. I'm so miserable right now. Alright, so here's a comment we can ponder on. Why do these would-be interlopers always blame the spouse for being insecure when they get called out and rejected? Is it really that hard for them to believe maybe the person they're going after, doesn't want them? Alright guys, so let me know in the comments below if you can answer that question. Do you even think that she knew the husband wasn't interested? I want to know your thoughts on this one. Our final story on the day comes complete with an update. Am I the a-hole for screwing my brothers out of the inheritance and will? If you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Here's today's final story. Now, to start off, my mom wanted me to come and talk with her about her will. And when we talked she told me she'll be leaving me only 10% of it. Most likely close to $100,000. And she'll leave the rest to my older 2 brothers who are 34 and 32. They are mentally not all there and have the mind of about a 14-year-old, so very immature, can't focus, all that stuff. Me, on the other hand, I have a stable job that pays very well. I own a joint home with my mom. We bought it together because at the time was the only way we could have a home. However, thankfully I was smart when I bought this home, as I did not want to be stuck with my brothers because, well, they have no filter, and can be a-holes. So I did a right of survivorship contract with my mom. Anyways, that's where the contention lies. She says that since I already have the house, that I don't need the extra money. I, on the other hand, know that they will just burn through the money within a year. For example, when one of my brothers got his stimulus check, he gave half of it to a friend who was struggling. So I gave her an ultimatum. If she doesn't leave me a fair share of money, like a 30-33-33 split, I'll kick them out of the house since they've been living here rent-free for years. And then challenge the will in court, and make them have to burn the money with the lawyer fees. Anyways, in the end, because of that, she gave in and did not change the will, but she did tell my brothers, and the first thing they did was post on social media for all their friends and family to see. So, I've been getting hateful messages this whole time. Some of my family agrees with me though, so I don't know. Am I the a-hole for this? Mr. Reddito here, there's an update for this. It happened just a little bit after the original post. Here it is. So, I had some time to think about it and cool down. I realized that I'd let myself become so bitter and hateful that I was willing to destroy my mentally unstable brothers. I called my mom back up and we decided to sit down for another chit-chat. A lot of you were wondering why she was doing a will now all of a sudden. So I asked her. And she's dying. She would not tell me of what, but apparently she told my brothers 2 months ago. Which almost set me off again, but I was able to remain calm. I told her that I'm tired of always having to be an afterthought, that I was always given less because of them. However, I do want to try to move past it, and because of that, I will accept 10% of 100K. However, I want them out. I want her gone as well. She teared up, but the thing is, I can't have them with me. And now, every time I see her, I'm just reminded of all the stuff she let me go through. We plan to discuss it in further detail soon. Many of you suggested I seek therapy, as well I do have a lot of unresolved issues. With my parents and brothers mostly. The truth is though, every time I think of those memories, I get angry and sad. So I rather just forget about them. I'm glad I have this place to talk about my issues though. Thank you and drop your comments down below with your advice. Alright guys, so it seems like it's a split in the comment section. About 50% are saying OP is the a-hole, and the other 50 is arguing back and forth, saying OP is definitely not the a-hole. The brothers were not ready for the inheritance money. Let me know your thoughts on it. Do you think OP is the a-hole or not the a-hole? Drop it down below. Thank you so much for watching the videos today. Make sure you subscribe because it super helps out the channel. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. The latest Mr. Reddito producer, Christine Billings. Thank you so much for the support.